You know which company recently got a slide in their office? Ryanair, right? The Irish airline that are known for being a not very happy workplace. They recently got a slide in their office, and I was like, okay, we've now officially reached peak slide.
Welcome to the Masks Off podcast, Leadership Strategies, No Disguises. I'm Razwana Waheed, and together with my co-host Olivier, we talk to the smartest people in the world of leadership, change and psychology to give leaders real strategies to bring human back to the workplace.
If you would like to support our show, please subscribe to our channel, like us, or share this episode on your social media. It will help us greatly.
In this episode, we speak to Alexander Kjerulf, Denmark's Chief Happiness Officer who, amongst other things, shows you what leadership tools used by companies like Zappos and Google you can apply today to make your office a happier place to work.
Can you describe me how a happy company looks like, according to you?
It doesn't look like what most people think, right? A lot of people, they think about a happy company and they see, this big fancy office with a really expensive office furniture. They see like a gym somewhere in the office. They see, free fruit and free coffee and excellent
Ping-Pong table as well.
Ping-pong tables. The new thing that every happy company must have apparently right now is a slide.
A slide?
Slide so you can go down from one floor to the next.
Okay.
And I have nothing against all of those things. They're all nice. But if you think that is what a happy company looks like, then you're completely deluding yourself. Okay. And I know this because you know which company recently got a slide in their office? Ryanair, right? The Irish airline that are known for being a not very happy workplace. They recently got a slide in their office. And I was like, okay, we've now officially reached peak slide. So none of those things matter. Everybody thinks they do, but it really isn't. So what does a happy workplace look like? I can tell you it's something completely different. It's a workplace where people just like to work. It's about how people feel in that workplace. And actually, very often when you visit a happy workplace, you can tell, you can feel it. You can't see it in the office, but you can feel it. You can tell by the people. People love their jobs. They can be themselves in the workplace. They smile when they walk down the hallways. They actually talk to each other. They will make eye contact.
Simple things, really, like eye contact,
It's the simple things, and it's not about what the workplace looks like. It's about what people look like while they're working in that workplace and how they feel. That is what a happy workplace looks like.
It's about feeling, isn't it? It's really about the feeling.
Yes. What does work make you feel like? People, when they're at work in this workplace, most of the time, do they feel good? Do they feel proud of the work they do? Do they feel appreciated and liked? Do they feel interested and curious in the work they're doing? Or do they spend a lot of time at work feeling stressed, miserable, nervous, angry, frustrated, afraid? Which I can tell you a lot of people do, and including a lot of people in those really fancy offices.
Everything that you just said, I agree 100%. And I believe everyone, listening to this will say 100% I agree with you. Mm-hmm. But what I've discovered is I think there's something around the word happiness. Happiness. In the last company I worked for, we did an engagement survey, and we hired Gallup. They did a presentation, and they said, basically, I think it was the second slide, they said, okay, what is engagement? It's not happiness. I think there's something very scary with this word happiness in businesses.
Yeah.
So what's your take on that?
I agree. And that is why a lot of companies don't talk about happiness. They talk about well-being.
Yeah.
They will talk about engagement, or they will talk about motivation, or they'll talk about, thriving in the workplace. You know what I think? I think happiness scares them because everybody knows what it is and everybody can relate to that. It's, are you happy right now? That is not a tough question to answer. You just know. Are you thriving right now? Are you motivated right now? Do you have high engagement right now? Those are kind of more academic concepts. This is just my feeling, is that because of that, they're a little bit more removed, easier to talk about, and you can sort of hold them out at a distance, whereas happiness is much more up close and personal. In my opinion, much more relevant to the individual, which is why we talk about happiness at work, right? Because everybody knows if they're happy at work or not. And we shouldn't be afraid of the word happiness. We should not. We should look for it. We should try to improve it. We should try to create it for ourselves and others because how you feel, how happy you are right now has such a huge influence on your life and your performance and your career and everything. Incidentally, when you look at Gallup's definition of engagement, it looks a lot like happiness. I really like the concept of engagement. I think it's a great concept, but I think it's way easier to talk about happiness. And why not? Can I get philosophical here for a second?
Please do.
Why are we here? Not you and me. I mean, the species. Why are we here on this planet? Why do human beings exist? Are we here to be motivated? Are we here to be engaged? Are we here to, have good well-being? No, we're here to be happy.
Okay.
That is the purpose of existence, is to be happy yourself and make other people happy. The good life is the happy life. That is what we want, and that is why we're here. And the more happiness we can create for ourselves and others, the better. And this goes in the workplace as well. And that is why I think it makes a lot of sense to talk about happiness at work. It's inspiring.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
Let's create a workplace where everybody's satisfied.
Because we know each other for a couple of years, right? And I first interview you like 2 years or 3 years ago, right? And I was so pumped because I've met you. I was just like, well, yeah, it's exactly what I believe. Workplaces need to be happy. So what I did after our interviews, I was just so like, you know what? I know this guy. I know Alex. He's a happiness consultant. And then I went to different meetings, where you had specialists. And I've talked about fears, right? So I encounter people like CEOs, VPs who were like a little bit fearful with this word happiness. But I also encountered people who were angry, like very like, don't talk about me about happiness. This is something that shouldn't be, we, like the business, shouldn't dictate what happiness is, And there's something like, even I remember an HR consultant, he told me, when you talk to me about happiness, which is generalized to the entire company, I think about China, communist China, where everyone has to be happy, and I was just like, wow, So please help me there.
I think a lot of people are very married to this idea that work should be hard, work should be tough, right? Yeah. I've suffered for 30 years in my career. Yeah. Why should anybody get to be happy at work? I think that's part of it. Some people have this really weird idea that work is where you go to be professional and you leave your emotions at home and you shouldn't really feel anything at work. You can have your emotions in your spare time, right? What we know from the research is that this is completely impossible. Emotions are at the core of who we are as human beings. Yeah. We have emotions everywhere we go. Including in the workplace. There's no way we can leave them at home. How we feel has a huge effect on everything that goes on around us. So it has a huge effect on our cognition, memory, motivation, creativity, productivity, anything you can imagine, right? Knowing this objection that we shouldn't care about how people feel and we shouldn't try to create happy workplaces where people feel good. This objection is completely meaningless. I will go so far to say it is stupid, and it makes absolutely no sense, okay? We need to create workplaces where people are happy. Yes, this is absolutely possible. We can do this. It's not even that hard. And anybody who thinks otherwise, they should go back to the 19th century and get a job in a factory there.
What is the business case behind that? It's pretty obvious, but at the end of the day, can you just remind why are we doing that? Why do we need to have a happy workplace?
Let me be very clear. The research is very clear. Happy companies make more money. It's that simple. Okay? So why do they make more money? First of all, there are some very measurable reasons. One of them is absenteeism. So in unhappy companies, you can have an absenteeism rate that is 10%, 15%. I've seen 20% in some miserable workplaces. Wow. So every day you're missing 1/5 of your employees. They're out sick. That costs you a lot of money. Yeah. I've seen happy workplaces where the absenteeism rate is maybe 2%. So that is one reason. Another one is employee retention. This is not exactly rocket science. If people like their jobs, they will stay with the company longer. That way they will perform better and you will have lower recruitment costs. So that can save you a lot of money. Finally, employee attraction. If you want the best employees, if you want to attract the best talent to your company, doing that is much easier if you run a happy workplace, because all of your employees will be out there saying, come work for us, this place is amazing. So those are some very hard measurable metrics. Sort of the other side of that coin is that employee behavior is very, very different from happy employees compared to unhappy employees. Right. And research shows that happy employees are more productive, more creative, give better customer service, they're more resilient, more motivated, have more energy, they sell more, they work better in teams, they communicate better, they trust each other more, and so on and so on. And on pretty much every single aspect you can measure, happy employees have, they perform better, they do a better job. Given that, it's just perfectly clear that happy companies make more money. I will say one more thing, though. Even if there was no shred of evidence that happy companies make more money or happy employees do a better job, even if there was no evidence for that, right, it would still be the right thing to do, because we know that how people feel at work has such a huge effect on their lives. And we know that when you run an unhappy workplace, when you run a workplace where people are miserable, frustrated, stressed, nervous, angry, afraid, we know it affects their health. Yeah. It can make people sick. It can kill them. We know it affects their careers. It can ruin their professional self-confidence and their career. We know it affects their private lives, people stress and depression. And we know it affects their relationship. We know that people's marriages, for instance, suffer when they are unhappy at work. So even if there was no shred of evidence that happy workplaces make more money, it would still be the right thing to do. Because when you run an unhappy workplace, you are ruining people's lives. You are making them sick. You might even be killing them. And that is simply not okay. It is morally and ethically wrong to do that.
Now, you just said at the beginning that leaders shouldn't invest in slides. That's a bad idea, in terms of transforming their workplace into a happy workplace, right?
Yeah.
Simply, can you give some recipes or, not a method, but what can we do? What can we do in order to do that,
And of course, that is the important question, right? Yeah. And the important thing is that we do something. Creating a happy workplace is not something you get just automatically. You got to do something about it.
Yeah.
And what we have to do is we have to look at the research. Okay. What is it that actually makes people happy at work? What is it that actually makes people feel good in the workplace? Yeah. And if you look at the research and you sort of boil it down to the fundamentals, there are two things that make us happy at work. And we call those results and relationships. Results is this feeling that I'm good at my job. I make a difference. I have the right skills and competencies to do my job well. I get praise and recognition for doing my job well. I can see that my work is important and meaningful. Yeah. I make a difference. And that's results and relationships, is that feeling that I'm part of a team. I belong. I like my coworkers. They like me. I have a good relationship with my boss. That kind of thing. Okay. That is where we need to focus. That is what really makes people happy at work. So we need to create workplaces where people experience this pretty much every day, where most employees go home from work pretty much every day saying, you know what, today I made a difference together with some great people. Exactly how you do that can vary a lot from workplace to workplace. But there are some things that tend to work really well. Should we cover a few of those?
I would like to, because here, I understand the big principle. We have the theory behind that. But I know, let's say, okay, give me something to do, because this is how we are. I need to basically touch it or do something about it. So how do you practically implement that?
So when we look at some of the happiest workplaces in the world, like Google or Zappos, Southwest Airlines, a lot of those, here are some things they pretty much all do. One is praise and recognition. So giving people positive feedback when they do a good job is incredibly important, and something that is sadly lacking in many workplaces. Okay, in many workplaces, if you do a good job, nobody says anything. But if you make one mistake, you will be instantly punished. Okay, right. Teaching managers to give praise to their employees and teaching coworkers to praise each other is actually really, really effective.
Hold on this one, because I think today, in most companies, everybody knows that. And everybody says thank you, or something like over thank you. But there's something about praising, It's praising from a distance, if you see what I mean, or really believe with feelings, that you recognize the person. Would you make a difference? Because sometimes I've seen managers doing automatic thank yous, like thank you for automatic, and this is And at the end of the day, it doesn't mean
Yeah.
anything.
You touch on something very important,
Yeah.
and that is, whatever you do, it has to be genuine. You have to mean it, okay? And I don't want to. I mean, when you praise somebody, when you give them positive feedback, you should mean it. I mean, there should be something they've actually done well that you believe they've done well, okay? And then you should do it in a way that is genuine and authentic. Okay, so don't just say thank you automatically. Say thank you so much because you did that. My job is now, my day is now better, or you just totally saved my ass, or whatever, right?
Exactly.
And that is, I think, is really important. That it's not automatic. It's genuine and done with some emotion. Another thing that we can do to create a happier workplace is we can really work on celebrating success. And I see this in so many workplaces. If a team does a good job, why not celebrate that team somehow? If an individual does a good job, celebrate that person. Or even if an individual is just a really nice person, why not celebrate that person? At Disney World, they have the Disney Legacy Awards, where they celebrate, Disney members, Disney employees who do a really good job or who live up to the Disney values.
Right.
You don't get a bonus, but what you do get is you get a blue name badge. Right. Normally they have white name badges. So this is, every Disney employee who sees that will know that you are a winner of the Disney Legacy Award. Right. I think that is really cool. Celebrating those successes, the wins, the good teams, the good people, I think is absolutely crucial. One thing we got to work on in to create a happy workplace is having the right people there, especially the right managers. You got to be really careful about who you make a manager. An unhappy manager, a jerk, a psychopath, will ruin it for everybody on their team.
Actually, on this one, I think the research shows that the number one reason for people leaving is their manager. It's not like the money or finding. It's only because they leave because of their manager and the relationship with their manager.
We usually say that people take the job because of the job and then they leave because of the manager.
Yeah.
This is such a serious issue. We have to, find the right people and make them managers. But we also, if we have bad managers, and every workplace has a few bad managers. In fact,
no.
I'll go a step further and say some workplaces almost only have bad managers. If we have bad managers, we need to train those people to become good managers, or we need to stop them so they're not managers anymore. Or maybe get rid of them completely if they're absolutely terrible. Those are some of the things we can focus on in order to create that feeling of results and relationships. Praise and recognition, celebrating success, hire the right people, and having the right managers.
At the moment, the only thing that seems to be on the agendas of companies is digital innovation, automation, robots, processes, systems. It seems like all these things, like the people aspect or the human aspect is at the end tail. Actually, I've heard that, One guy told me, people concern is at the end tail of all CEOs' mind. Everyone wants to go in the train, this digital train, they want to jump on board. What do you believe, what will be the future, with this happiness? Is happiness will be that important now? How this will collide with this technology and innovation?
Yeah. Well, two things to that. First of all, the CEO who says, well, machines are coming to take all the work, so we don't care about people, or we don't need to care about people. That CEO is stupid, because certainly for the first time, for the near future, robots or the machines are taking all the easy tasks, all the routine tasks, all the things that are easy to automate. Maybe later on they can take on the creative tasks and the more complicated work, but certainly not yet. What will happen is that, while there might be fewer jobs in your organization, those jobs will all be things that require creativity, individual thinking, initiative, motivation, energy. If you don't care about your people, if your people are unhappy, they lose precisely those skills, and they're no longer creative or thinking individually. That's certainly one thing. You need to still care about your people, because the people that are left in your organization when you digitize everything, those people really need to be able to use their minds, and they can do that much better when they're happy. The other thing I will say, that if we're looking into sort of, a few decades into the future, let's say, the self-driving car is here, and, office automation is really taking over a lot of the jobs that we have today. Now, I know we're getting into a little bit of the science fiction stuff here, but I love science fiction,
That's
so
okay.
that's good.
Let's go there. Let's go to Kubrick.
Yeah.
Let's go there.
Here's what I think. Many jobs may go away, but work is not going to go away.
Yeah.
There will always be work. Working is such a huge part of what we human beings do. We always find things to contribute to work on, things that we believe are important to do, things that we believe are meaningful, things that we believe where we can make a difference, right? So maybe we won't have to get up at 7 a.m. to go to that 9 to 5 job 5 days a week, but maybe what we will work on instead is the community.
Right.
Maybe we can teach kids at the local school. Maybe we can get together in a group and do amateur theater. Maybe we can get together a group and do culture in our city. Maybe we can get together and, I don't know, improve a park, clean up a park. I don't know. I do see a future where many jobs are going to go away. Work will always be there because it's just a part of who we are. What that work will be exactly is anybody's guess. And I hope it will be happy. Even then, I think it should be work that you enjoy to do, that gives you results in relationships that you can actually, do with a smile on your face. The big societal challenge we're facing is, of course, how do you survive? How do you make a living? If you don't have a job, how do you pay your bills? And that is where I think universal basic income is the only viable solution I've seen anyone propose. Yeah. And I think that is where we're going to end up.
I really agree with what Jacob Morgan from the Future of Work said. He said, these jobs that will disappear, they were never meant to be done by humans in first place. Who like to data entry all day long? Is it like what we, yeah, okay.
No.
So we will do exactly what you mentioned, something which is meaningful, purposeful for us, and develop ourselves. And I don't believe for a second that will become this lazy, couch potatoes doing TV with that. No, we want to do things. We want to contribute. This is how we are wired in our brains.
Results and relationships.
Absolutely.
That is what we all want, and that is what we will find. We will have to find new and creative ways of getting for ourselves. And I'm incredibly optimistic about that. I think we can absolutely do it. Once the machines have taken away all the boring work.
One last word that you would like to say to all the leaders that are listening to us.
I just want to say that if you're not happy at work, you got to do something about it. And I realize that a lot of people have the opposite idea that, a lot of people think that, I hate my job. That's just the way it is. That's normal. Everybody hates their jobs. It's absolutely not true. It's just what, some people have ended up believing, because that is the reality in many workplaces. I'm just saying that's how it is. That's not how it should be. And there are so many great workplaces out there. There are so many great leaders. So if you hate your job, maybe it's time to get out and go work for one of those great workplaces. Or maybe it's time to do something to become happy in the job you have. The only thing you should not do is just sit there and accept it. Get up in the morning and drag yourself into a job you hate. Nobody should have to do that.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Once again, if you would like to support our show, please subscribe to our channel, like us, or share this episode on your social media. Merci